Hello, welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth Henson, your community and leadership expert, here to share with you today an amazing guest. You guys are going to love Diane Mayor and this discussion on how to use our unique superpower to be more productive in our business. And she really, really blew my mind, you guys. I can't even tell you the things that unfolded after Diane and I had this discussion. And I was already in team building mode, but it really sent me down a beautiful path of continuing to explore, how we can put together the best team possible. And Diane is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this whole philosophy of the wealth dynamics quiz. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. She's going to dive in deeper. But my personality type, for lack of a better word, fit me to a T. And it has just been a really, really fun talk. I hope you guys will stay till the end. She has a really great opportunity for you guys to take the quiz and learn more and incorporate it into your business. But I'm already figuring out new ways to be even more productive and accomplish more with less energy, all because I have kind of learned these things about myself and my team. And Diane and I met at an event years ago. Gosh, like it had to have been like at least 4 years ago. And we sat side by side for this 3-day event and we just kind of chit chatted the whole time. It was almost like we were the kids in class that like couldn't stop talking. Thank goodness the teacher didn't yell at us. But we had a blast and we kept in touch after. She helped me way back when I was doing masterminds, put together some systems for that. She is so good at what she does. I cannot wait for you to hear more. So let's get this party started. Hello, Diane. I am so excited that you are here with us today and that we just happened to sit beside each other at that event that was 2 days, 3 days, I don't know. But I feel like we've just connected ever since, and I'm just really excited to have you here. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to tell everyone like what you do, who you are, and they're going to want to know where you live.
Well, it's very exciting to be here. I always love like our conversations. I think you're right from that first day where we sat down. I don't think we've stopped talking in whatever it is, the 3 or 4 years since. So, hey everyone, I'm Diane Mayor. I am a business strategist and I really help entrepreneurs hit their time and money goals. So, that combination as fast as possible by harnessing their superpower so that they don't burn out. And what that really means is I come in and I help you get into your superpower, stay in your superpower, and figure out what you should stop doing, what you should keep doing, and what you need a little bit more of in your business, but in a way that still feels super fun for you. And to answer Liz's other question, I currently live in London in the United Kingdom, but I think since we've met, I have lived in multiple places, including some time where I had no fixed address and was just bumming around the US.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I know. I feel like I never know where you're going to be when we end up chatting.
It's a fairly standard first question from everyone. Where are you these days?
Yeah, like what's new? What's going on? Oh my gosh. But I love that you do the strategy side of things and you're so good with the structure. And I love that you use the word superpower because I use that word a lot in our business. And, I've really had to let go of a lot of things and understand that like I'm a true creative visionary mess. And if it wasn't for people like you, I would not be able to get anything done.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because one of the things I always talk to people about is the difference between your superpower and your skill set. And so
Mm.
for me, from days of corporate, I have a lot of structure and a lot of systems know how. And so it's really easy for me to do that stuff. However, my actual superpower is not in implementing any of that. It's being able to strategically look at it, solve a problem, have a new idea of what you could do, but not actually build the system or build the spreadsheet and maintain any of those things, even though I've got the expertise to do it because I've learned how to do it.
I
And the
love that.
difference when I'm in my superpower is that I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I can keep going and going and going and going. When I'm in my skill set, at some point my battery is going to run out and I'm going to need to recover.
That is a really interesting perspective. So tell us a little bit about when you work with a client. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like using the example of your skill set and your superpower. Because in my mind, I want to be able to apply it to my own self.
Okay, sure. So I always start my clients off with an assessment called Wealth Dynamics. And Wealth Dynamics is a business development tool that's going to tell you exactly where you should be focusing and where you need to let things go in your business. And what it's trying to do is get you into that flow state in a really practical way. And
Mm,
when you're in flow, time passes by, you don't really notice anything happening. You're just working, 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 working. Because you don't need to recover, when you're in that state, you can get so much more done, right? So it's
yes,
it's it's energy generating for you. When you're out of that state, you're using the energy that you have. You're going to need to recover. You're going to need to slow down at some point. You're going to remember that you need food, that you need a break, that you need Netflix, right? So I always start with people there. And can I use your example, Liz? Because we've
yeah,
done yours.
absolutely. We're gonna dig in. Yeah,
So for in Wealth Dynamics, there are 8 different profiles and 4 different energies. And so the 4 energies are kind of ideas energy, which is my profile. I'm pure ideas energy. Then there's people energy. And Liz is a combination of ideas energy and people energy. There's
totally.
also a more of a getting things done resources kind of energy and a very much systems data kind of energy. They all have really fancy names, but this is just easier to remember in this kind of format when you're not looking at diagrams. So for you, Liz, you are in your superpower with people.
Hmm.
Your zone of genius is attracting people, getting them behind an idea, and coincidentally, shining the light on others, which is very appropriate, right?
I
You
thought that
already
was
know.
so awesome when I took the quiz. Like, I was like, this is meant to be. Absolutely. So, for you guys listening, we won't go into all the fancy names, but I was a star. And I was like, what? There's no way. But it was, stars thrive on shining the light on other people. And my signature program is called Shine the Light Society. Like, it could not have been more perfect. But I also loved that they use, kind of celebrity examples. And Oprah was my example. And I was like, really? Oprah? But it's the whole concept that she built her business, wealth, fame, whatever you want to call it, by bringing these other people on stage. I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, 100%. Like your profile fits you to a T. You are always going to be the happiest and you're going to show up your best for clients when you can show up and just shine, right? So
Hmm.
stars are brilliant at turning up and flicking on Zoom and running a workshop with no prep.
100%.
Group coaching, no prep required, right? Somebody on the other side who is more systems and data um, energy, they will want to prep. They will want all the questions ahead of time so they can make sure that they've got all of the information. Now, if we think about skill set from your perspective, I bet that you are also highly skilled at project management because I know from your photography days, you've had a million moving parts, everything that needed to happen, everything had to get put together in a very precise timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, would you go and do that for someone else's business?
Heck to the no. But you're right. I think it's easy for me because it's always been intuitive, but I actually really struggle offboarding that to someone else because it does live in my brain, right? To manage my own projects. I see the value of it. Oh my gosh, yes. Project managers are so important. But yeah, I could never do that in someone else's business without really struggling.
Yeah, so that's a really easy test. If anyone's listening and they think, oh, well, this is definitely my superpower, I want you to think if we didn't change anything else, so don't get into like, oh, could I make more money or whatever, just keep it as a baseline. And if you wouldn't do the thing that you're thinking of for somebody else's business, because we all do all 8 of these profiles, all combinations of these energies, we can do all of them because most of us have done all of them, right, in our businesses. It doesn't mean that we should. And so the easiest way to identify the things to let go of is to be like, I would not do this for somebody else. I'll
That's
make
so
this
good.
sacrifice for myself, but not for somebody else.
Yes, that's so good.
So where I'm always looking for, when I start working with a client, I'm always looking at what are your offers, what are your services in particular.
Hmm.
I always start with outward facing because you can't always just hire to do the back end. But a lot of people are selling offers that they can't stand, or that they're starting to feel a little resentful for, or that they're feeling a bit burnt out by, because they've built offers that are skill set based instead of superpower based.
So interesting.
And it's not their fault. What's the first question you get asked when you leave your corporate job and you decide you're going to be an entrepreneur?
It's like, what are
What
you really good at?
what skills do you have that people will pay you for?
Totally.
Right? And then you've built this whole business, and then by the time you look up and go, "Okay, this is great. I'm paying all my bills. I don't have a corporate job. Oh wait. Now I don't want to do this anymore, but it's successful, but it's paying the bills. Now what?"
Hmm.
And so that's where that like burnout starts to creep in. You start to see it with very slight resentment that you have to just get on that next group coaching call, or, do that next webinar, whatever it is. It just starts to chafe just a little bit. And
Hmm.
often that's a sign that there's something that's a little too skills based in that offering.
I love it. I'm like, my mind is blown right now because I'm just thinking of all the examples, in my own life, how the jumping on the Zoom call with no prep, the standing on a stage, 100 people could be in the room, no prep, is truly like my superpower, right? But I've always struggled, like that's what business is. Struggle is the wrong word. I've always learned and failed, right? Because the marketing part is hard for me, right? The numbers stuff is hard for me. So it's always been that question of how can I jump on Zoom and jump on a stage without having to do any of the other stuff?
Yeah, it's so true. Like your particular profile, maybe I should just go around all the 8 profiles in a sec and just let everybody know what each profile's kind of superpower is and their kryptonite, so they can start to get a feel for like, ooh, which of these might I be? But
Yeah.
stars in particular, their kryptonite is detail.
Mhm.
So you won't have the problem coming up with the marketing idea and even executing the idea. It's all the funnel behind it that's probably feeling heavy to you.
100%. I'm like,
Because
if I have to make one more landing page.
Right? Because your superpower is actually the attraction element of that. You'll be able
Yes.
to bring that attention in really easily, but actually having to turn that into a system or a process in the background and tracking it and monitoring it, that's just death by a thousand paper cuts for you.
Yep,
With like
totally.
salt rubbed into each paper cut individually,
I'm
probably.
like squirming out of my seat already. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So should I just quickly whip round all of them so
Yeah.
everyone
Can you
has,
start with the deal maker? Because that's my perfect match.
from a recruitment perspective?
Yeah. Well, just like I read in my profile that if you pair a star with a deal maker, you're like unstoppable. So
Right.
tell me a little bit more about the deal makers.
Okay. We'll start with the deal maker. So picture a pyramid, and on one side of the pyramid is the ideas energy, the other side's the people energy, the other side is the get stuff done energy, and then the how to energy. Okay, and they're all pulled together into a central point by the why.
Hmm.
So that's your reason for being in business. So if you're running a team, you want that team well balanced and pulling together into that
Love it.
why. Because the ideas person is going to ask what, the people person is going to ask who, the get stuff done is when and where, and the systems is all how, right? So it's very cyclical. You're thinking in terms of a cyclical business. So you are the combination of the ideas and the people. The deal maker, on the other hand, is the combination of people and getting stuff done.
So
But,
cool.
but what we say in business is that the star brings the people in and the deal maker nurtures the relationship.
Mm.
So the deal maker is all about connection. really deep one-to-one connection. They like to know a lot of people, but they like to know them really deeply. Whereas the star loves the attraction, the ideas. You've got a lot of that ideas energy. You're on to the new thing, the new idea, the new opportunity. You've got a lot of that people energy, which is fun and sociable, party energy. So
Mm.
the deal maker, you've brought all 100 people in. Your deal
Yeah.
maker is the person who is then knows that, each person's dog's name plus their children's birthdays and when they're having like a tough day, right? So between the two of you, you have three of those four energies covered because you've got ideas and people, they've got people and getting things done.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked if you were asking about the team building stuff is we have a 1, 2, 3 rule for who you should hire.
I love it.
So as a star, you are half ideas, half people, and you'd jump 2 profiles on from yours, which is the deal maker, and then 3 on from the deal maker, which is the Lord. And the
Is that
Lord
data?
is pure data systems, right? So you can see how you three as a team would cover all 4 of those energies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so what that person with all the systems energy is, they're also going to be able to access that getting things done energy. They're going to, so between them and the deal maker, what you bring in kind of comes to fruition.
Yeah.
And what the deal maker does is keeps that business coming back over and over and over again for you. So you're all the new business, and the deal maker is more like all the repeat business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a powerful combination, very people focused
This
strategy.
is like so timely as well too, because my brain is just really focused on team building right now.
Totally, totally. And I think we have this tendency in entrepreneur worlds to, and actually in big business as well, to really just recruit ourselves
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again. So
100%.
if you think we said Liz's profile, her superpower is attraction, shining the light onto ideas and other people, but kryptonite is details. If Liz had an entire business of Liz's, nothing is going to get done.
Nothing.
No
We'll
one
never know
wants
our
to do the
numbers.
detail. You'll never know your numbers. Nothing will ever get implemented. You'll just run around speaking on stage with your cheering squad
Yeah. And then
behind
I'll
you.
forget to
Like
make
you're,
the offer at the end.
yeah, like the Liz and the backup dancers. Oh, no, you're really good at making the offer. You're
Yeah.
just not as good at remembering as what it's going to take to actually deliver on the offer. That's where you need the person grounding you to be like, do you understand what you just promised someone?
That's
Right?
so funny.
So let me whip round so that everybody gets a feeling. So Liz is the star and she's half people, half ideas. The person who's full people energy, this is the supporter. Their superpower is motivation
Ooh.
and their kryptonite is distraction. So they are super peoply people. They are people who are like chief of staff, managing huge teams, right?
Ooh.
So if you think about you attracting all the business in, the supporter is the person in the business who goes, okay, right, who's available? Who's going to carry this forward? Who's going to run the team? Who's going to do what? Okay. But they, because they're so into people, are very easy to distract. Oh, there's another party over here, and there's a conference over here, and there's, a little something happening over here. So they're kind of easy to distract. The deal maker we talked about, their superpower is that connection, that really deep connection. They always know who needs what at what moment in time. Their kryptonite is they can forget about themselves in that mix. They can get so excited of going like, oh my God, Liz, you have to meet this person. They're amazing for your podcast. And then you hang up and go, wait, wasn't I meant to be pitching myself to Liz's podcast? Like what happened? Right? So they can just kind of forget themselves in that equation. They're so excited by the connection that they forget that they also need to get paid. The people who are full get it done energy, they are traders. Their superpower is the sense of timing. So in a traditional business, they would be doing the like buy low, sell high kind of trading. But because they've got this really deep sensory energy, they're constantly aware of when and where things are happening. They are amazing multitaskers, and they're really often the person who is going to know when somebody on the team's having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a good mix for your community managers, right? Very
Mm-hmm.
on the ball of multiple things when things are moving, that sort of side of things. Their kryptonite is that they're not great with sudden change.
Mm.
So they're a very grounded energy. They are ear to the ground. What can I touch? What can I feel? So they might not always see the big picture, right? And so when change comes, it feels shocking
Mm-hmm.
because they can't see the reason for it, right? And then if we go around, now we've got that how to energy mixed with that kind of when, where, getting it done energy. And that's the accumulator. And their superpower is getting it done,
Mm-hmm.
delivery. Their kryptonite can be a little bit of getting stuck in the data. They
Mm-hmm.
can want to just keep checking and keep researching and just maybe just a little bit more just to make sure. But this is a great space for VAs, OBMs, project managers, because they combine that how are we going to get this done with that when and where is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a rare profile. You don't come across it very often. There are a lot of people who come into talking to me about wealth dynamics who feel that they're in that space
Yeah.
and then take their tests and realize, oh, they're not. And then, because if you think about those roles, a lot of us have project management skills in corporate.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've naturally sold something. So I find this particular area can be a space where people have maybe a more skill set driven business than superpower.
Yeah. And do you see a lot of CEOs in that role or like visionaries? Not all
I
CEOs are
haven't.
visionaries, so that can be a
No, I
little bit.
mean, I haven't seen, it depends. I mean, you can have CEOs in any of these profiles.
Yeah,
It how they do their business and how
it's
they
going to
make
be
their
different.
offers will be completely different, and what they need to thrive will be completely different.
So
Um,
interesting. I met
yeah,
with a friend the other day. She has a very, very, very successful business, and we haven't met a lot. We're new friends, and she was talking about the datas and the number. I was like, "You are literally a human calculator. How are you the visionary in your business? Like, how are you the CEO? You're a human calculator." Like, it baffles my mind. But like you said, it just means their business runs differently, and sometimes those people know how to bring in the creatives and the visionaries.
yeah, and sometimes it can be like they could have been that accumulator space, but they might have been more the Lord space, which is that pure how to energy.
Mm-hmm.
Often that's legal, financial, systems people, that
Mm-hmm.
pure Lord energy. Um, and for them, it doesn't mean they can't CEO. They just have to think completely differently about how they do things that are really natural to someone like you.
Uh-huh.
Marketing, how do they do that, right? Um, how they deliver, like I was saying, with a group program, they are not going to be that comfortable just flicking on a camera and talking. They're going to want to have prep time beforehand. So it's just changing things around. It doesn't mean like, hey, okay, now we're deleting your whole business.
Yeah.
I spend most of my time with clients tweaking what they already have to just make it feel better for them.
So good. So good.
Okay,
And it's so fun. It baffles my mind when I meet someone that's like, I can't go live. I haven't prepared. And I'm like, what? Like, you just do it.
right? And I think it's actually really difficult because what we see a lot of in the entrepreneur space are the stars,
Hmm.
because stars are naturally very comfortable being out there.
Yeah.
And so they build big businesses on being out there. And now you're potentially coaching somebody who doesn't have that as their superpower. You're forcing them out of their zone
Hmm.
without allowing for necessarily the prep and recovery because you have no idea that they need it, because
Yeah.
you don't. But
Totally.
also, people who aren't even connected to you are watching you. I say you, but all stars
Hmm.
are watching you in this comfort zone, thinking there must be something wrong with me. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Because you don't see the other lords who are CEOing massive businesses because they're not doing that.
They're doing it
They've
different.
found a
Yeah.
completely different way to do it, and you're just not seeing it. And so that's what's the number one thing I see when I start to talk to people about this is like the relief that goes through people's bodies,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, I don't find that stars are ever really surprised to find out that they're stars, but I do
Hmm.
find like the other profiles often feel super validated that actually they can do things that are their jam. So we just have two more profiles. If we think the combination of the how energy and the idea energy, that's the mechanic. And their superpower is efficiency. This is who you want to go to when you want to solve a problem, when you want to
Hmm.
improve on something, when you want to make it better. But the problem with mechanics is they can always make it better.
That's my
So
husband.
perfectionism kicks in a big way. Well, we'll just make it a little bit better, a little bit better, right? So that's their kryptonite. And then finally, the pure ideas energy, that's the creator. Their superpower is innovation,
Hmm.
but this is mine. Our kryptonite is implementation. And that is because idea number 17 has already happened before we've started implementing idea number 1. The new
Yes.
idea is always more exciting than the implementation of the old idea, right?
Hmm.
So, but you need all of these things to work together in your business, because if you think about your business as a cycle, you need someone who has the great new idea. You need the person to go out and sell the idea. You need the person to find the team. You need the
Hmm.
person to connect and get deep with the customer. You need the person to work out how and when all of this is going to happen. You need the person to keep track of everything, make sure it's actually happening and hitting deadlines. You need the person to build the system. And finally, you need the person who goes, okay, we did it that way this time. What would be better next time?
Hmm.
And so, the same way everything is a cycle, business is a cycle, and you would cycle through these kind of profiles in your business, depending obviously on the size of your team.
Right.
I'm just looking at Liz, who's just looking at me like, whoa. I feel like
I know.
I've
I'm
just
like,
like, I've like opened a fire hose.
I know. Well, because I know you gave me special access to the quiz, but I would love to know how I can get my team members to take the quiz, because I'm just thinking about my different team members, and like I can make assumptions of what they might be. But like you said, I think a lot of times people, mine was not a surprise, but I think a lot of times people's are surprise.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to share that with you. I have definitely done sessions with teams as well, so that you can
Yeah.
all talk about how you do things better
Yeah.
and how you fit together.
I love it.
Um, yes, it's such a fun thing to discover about yourself. I will just put out like the one word of warning, because you mentioned the team and other people. You can't see if I'm in flow, and I can't see if you're in flow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you asked most people, people would tell you that I'm probably in flow doing spreadsheets, systems, and structure,
Yeah, that's totally what I thought.
right? Because I actually really enjoy those. Those are easy for me. However, I'm my happiest in a mastermind where I can give somebody 17 billion ideas that I never have to implement.
I love
That is
that.
my happy place. Like, I'm really like, I'm that person in a mastermind. I don't have one
Yes.
idea. I have all of the ideas for every single person.
I love it. I love to brainstorm too. And like you said, part of mine is the ideas is part of it. And I've always kind of made jokes like, how do you be a professional brainstormer?
Yes, I have always said, like, how do I get paid to just have ideas that other people have to implement? That's
Yes.
like the gold for me. So
So to
when you,
apply this to my business, if
mm,
if you were to come in and help and coach my business, I have right now one of my like dreamy things that I want to hire is kind of like a head of marketing, right? Like, of course, I have ideas around marketing. I'm very visionary, but like, if you were to step into someone's business and say, take on a head of marketing role where you are just brainstorming, here's my 17 ideas to market Liz's thing, but then there's a team under you that does the implementing. Is that something
so
that sounds sexy?
yes. Yes, because I don't have to implement it.
Yeah.
So when you do your profile, it will also tell you like how you lead best, how you communicate best. So we can talk about like what would that look like. So one of my problems as a creator, as an idea haver of all the things, is I move incredibly fast. And
Mhm.
so once I've had the idea and I've explained the idea in my brain, I think it's been implemented.
Mhm.
So I have to really slow down when I manage a team. Now, obviously, I come from corporate. I'm used to managing a team, but for
Yeah.
creators, that can actually be a real challenge.
Yeah.
What's interesting though is I think you, as the star, are probably your own 17 ideas for marketing person. And
Uh-huh.
what you probably need is a really good funnels person.
Yes, 100%.
Versus, you don't need the idea.
Right.
You need the person who's going to take the idea and go, okay, I need an opt-in page, a landing page, a this, a this. Here's the whole project. Liz, I need this idea from you, please. And off they go.
Yeah.
I think if you brought in another ideas person, because you have so much idea energy, it could turn into a lot of brainstorming with
And not a
less
lot.
doing, right?
Makes
So it's
sense.
probably more about you being able to have your marketing ideas and
Hmm.
hand them off to somebody to go and implement and keep you updated on.
Makes total sense. So what would that funnels person, would they follow under like the implementation, where would they fall under?
So yeah, I would be looking for them to have some of that how energy,
How?
that
Yes.
kind of potentially the accumulator who's the project manager, who could be that person who steps in and then gets the rest of the team doing all the pieces they need, like gets the graphic designer, gets the copy person, pulls all of
Hmm.
those things together. That might be the person that you need.
Yes,
And that
100%.
would be very much in that accumulator space, that combination of when and where and how.
Hmm.
If it's the pure tech, they're probably going to be a bit more in the pure how energy.
Yeah, like my systems. And when I say
Yeah.
systems, I don't mean like funnel systems, like my tech systems. It's like a
Yeah.
totally different person. And I know she doesn't want to write a copy, right?
No, no, exactly. And but they are also probably really good at like watching your systems and watching your funnel go
Hmm.
through like your dashboard or whatever it is
Hmm.
and say, okay, this isn't performing. Here's the data.
Yeah.
But they're not going to rewrite your copy for you. No.
Totally, totally. And this is why teams are so important. And something you said earlier about we always want to hire our clone. And the people I see that really struggle with team building are constantly saying, I just need another me. I just need
Oh,
another me. Like, how can I find another me? And I'm like, I'm seeing the success in the team building when people realize I need, like, the bare minimum, I need someone who's better than me in certain areas. Right.
yeah. And the thing I always say to people is like, okay, so you want to hand off something,
Yeah.
whether it's your very first hire or whether it's your 10th hire, you are taking something that you're doing and you're removing it from your plate.
Mm-hmm.
If you loved it, if you were in flow doing it, you would not need to remove it from your plate.
100%.
So hiring another you is a recipe for hiring somebody else who's going to exercise their skill set and in 6 months to a year is going to come to you and be like, oh, I'm not really enjoying this job so much anymore. I need to leave. Or I
Yeah.
need to do something else, right? Whereas if you found the person who was the perfect fit, imagine if you don't need to recover, right? So you're creating capacity in your business. The less you need to recover, the more capacity you have. Now multiply that by all of your team doing that exact same thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everybody goes, oh, I need capacity. I need a group program and passive income. Let's just take a breath. Could we just create capacity in what you already have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And by hiring yourself over and over again, you're just hiring somebody else who is going to do that task and need to recover and do that
Mm-hmm.
task and need to recover, not somebody who wants to go and look at spreadsheets all day long by themselves in a quiet room.
And some people love that.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
so we tend to hire ourselves because we speak the same language and we think, well, I did it really well. So if I did it really well, someone just like me will do it really well. But actually, someone completely different from you could do it a million times better.
Yes, because they're excelling in the areas that you're, I hate to say excelling, not excelling, but like that zone of genius, right? Like that's one of the things we call it on my team is like, how can we keep Liz in her zone of genius on Zoom? How can we free her days so that she's on Zoom all day? Because that's what I want.
Yeah,
Zoom and
exactly.
Facebook are the places I want to be all day. Don't take those two away from me.
Yeah, 100% because stars really do thrive with an audience,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? They are speakers, performers, often in this star space, right? That's your happy place. And how you feel about being shut away in a room with a spreadsheet all day
Oh, I would die.
is
I
how
would
your
wither
numbers,
away and die.
and that's how your numbers friend who's super successful
Yeah.
feels when you tell her she should do more Facebook lives,
Yeah. Yeah. So
right?
good.
It's understanding that you all come together into that cycle and the business needs to touch at least the four big energies. You don't have to have all eight profiles. I mean, that would be a dream.
Mm-hmm.
But you, as a star, you can actually lean onto the profile either side of you. You have secondary profiles. So you can be a creator when you need to be, you can be a supporter when you need to be. So you
Mm-hmm.
have those three kind of covered. If you then got your deal maker in, they could be a supporter and a trader. So you've got those three covered. Then if you
Yeah.
got your lord in, they're doing your mechanic and your accumulator. So between you, you've covered all of the 8 profiles. So I
Yeah.
don't want anyone to think, well, now I need a team of 8, so I can't do anything. Like, this is the dream world,
I mean, you
right?
you start with just your one counterpart essentially. So if I was a solopreneur, I would start with the deal maker.
It's interesting. So for me as a creator, you as a star, I always think we're an interesting one. I don't know that your closest counterpart is necessarily your first hire. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's an incredible collaboration.
Mhm.
So for me as a creator, it doesn't correlate. For me, the creator and the mechanic are a match made in heaven because I'm
Mhm.
an incredible starter and a mechanic is an incredible finisher,
Makes sense.
right? But actually, when you do the team rule, mechanic isn't somebody that I would hire because I have that as a secondary profile.
Mm.
It's who I would look to probably more collaborate with. So for you, I would be going more your other hire option, which is that accumulator project manager as your very first hire.
I was totally thinking project manager next. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I feel like that's probably what you need more as a small business,
Mhm.
right? You want to be lean and mean. You need somebody who's going to get stuff done for you. The
And
deal
can they
maker
be
will.
part project manager, part data? Is that one of them?
Yes, so the accumulator is the project manager, but their secondary profile is the Lord, which is that pure data
Mm.
side of things.
Yeah.
And they have that kind of getting things done, resources kind of vibes as well. So they'll be very on the ball around what's happening, all the different moving parts, what's going on in your communities, what's going on with your clients. They'll be a really good match with you.
So good. And I know a really great PM, and we've had a lot of discussions about inward facing versus outward facing, because clearly I have to be in a role that's outward facing.
Yeah.
And she's really good at outward facing, but it exhausts her. She's like I cannot do anything after. And I think that's just such an interesting conversation. And I've been having a lot of really good conversations too about being an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur, because I
Hmm.
do believe there's part of me that believes someone could hire me as head of community and I could go all in and I could be happy. I would just have to have the outward facing, these star type of roles. So if we were to think about this in the reverse, what type of CEO or like boss would I be looking for if I went that route one day? Like what would complement above me, for lack of a better way to put it?
Right. So interestingly, you'll work almost the other way. So somebody who is incredibly into the systems, the tech, the all of how things work, maybe they have a beautiful framework, an
Hmm.
incredible structure that is on repeat, that is beautiful, that has been optimized to its nth degree, but they are exhausted by the idea of marketing.
Uh-huh.
So we always say, if you think about the profiles, when we talk about introvert and extrovert in wealth dynamics, we talk about how you take action.
Hmm.
So you will always take action with people because
Hmm.
you are on the extrovert side of the pyramid. Okay. So your natural response when you have to solve a problem or do something is to find people to do it with you, right? Somebody who's on the other side, their natural response is to do it with systems. And when you go straight into systems, you can sometimes forget the people element.
Hmm.
Whereas for you, that's not something that's going to happen. You are so glued to the people element that you're going to help balance that.
Hmm.
So, as long as you knew how to communicate with each other, you essentially become that attraction engine, that community engine for somebody who is exhausted by doing that,
Yeah, it's
right?
almost the piece of marketing, like you said, it's not the implement type side of marketing, but I really like to push people to cast the vision, right? Like
Hmm.
you don't have a business if you can't cast the vision. And that's where I think the starness comes in of like, you've got to like go live. There's a million other ways to do that and invite people in, right? And I struggle sometimes with my clients or with helping people who they lack that ability to cast a true vision.
Yeah, I would be curious as to whether they could cast that vision without people present. So I would be looking for instead of doing the live webinar, let's get out there. Could
Yeah.
they do a recorded webinar?
Mhm.
Because they're probably going to feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more prepared. I know everybody goes, oh, but you don't get the energy on a live webinar. That is total star speak.
Yeah, yeah,
Every person I have ever heard tell me that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're such a star.
yeah.
For somebody who, on the more how-to systemsy side of things, they're going to be much better at a kick-ass evergreen funnel that
Mm-hmm.
they can strategically drive traffic to with mini pre-recorded ads, for example,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where they can feel that control, they can feel that preparation, they can um, like have their little bullet points. So like look at the camera, do the thing for 2 minutes. Okay, next one. Look at the bullet points. Okay, I'm prepared. Okay, I'm ready. Without feeling that energy of people coming at them, but also
Yeah,
without feeling that pressure of like we said, like the mechanic likes to be perfect, right? That's a really scary place to be live,
yeah, yeah,
right? And so they have to find little ways to tweak it that will feel super exciting for them.
yeah.
I often
So
find
interesting.
people on that side of things, I'm like, go show someone. Like offer, like demo what you can do.
Yeah.
People on the more introvert side who solve things with systems tend to blow people away with the stuff they can do versus the full blast personality. The people on
Mm-hmm.
the extrovert side, it's the full blast personality. People buy you. On the introvert side, people buy what you can do.
100%. Yeah, people totally like photography wise, it was never about my skill. They wanted me as a personality.
Especially with weddings. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
goodness, like you want to make sure that you're actually like, I can't think of anything worse than having like a photographer that you didn't even like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
me in front of the camera. It's not the most comfortable experience for me in the world. And then to have someone I don't even like, oh, no, that would be uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
100%. So it isn't necessarily about them casting a vision for somebody. It can be about them showing somebody what they can do for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? It really so depends on each like individual person and where their sweet spot is, whether they're an improver or they're a doer or they're, think about when you see um, somebody on Reels or TikTok with like a sexy Airtable.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's so pretty. I want that.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to build it ever.
Right. That's me. 100%.
Right?
Give me the
100%.
beautiful spreadsheet, but
You're
I
like,
don't want to
where
touch it.
is your link so that I can buy this from you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You haven't had to cast any kind of vision for me.
True. That's so
It
true.
doesn't mean you don't have to cast vision for your team
Mm-hmm.
or cast vision one to one once you get them on a sales call. But how you bring them to you can get adapted to what really works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, if you put someone on a Facebook Live and they're uncomfortable and they feel awkward, that's the energy coming at you. If you
100%.
get them to show off what they can do in a spreadsheet, their energy is completely different. It's so attractive.
Mm-hmm.
You want that kind of slickness. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's what I want. Wish my business looked like that kind of thing. And then you can get to know them one on one on a sales call or whatever,
Yeah, makes
right?
sense. My mind is so blown. In the best way, though. I've taken away so many good little nuggets because now it's like you're right. I don't always have to hammer the cast of vision. It can be show them what you can do. I just love having that side by side because some people just don't naturally step into that, environment, culture. You know, they
Yeah,
just they just want to be where they want to be.
and they might be super comfortable showing people what they do live.
Yeah.
The second you take this pressure off, it has to be you, a talking head, connecting one on one with a person. It can be like, oh, hey, I'm Susan, and I'm going to share my screen, and let me show you this like quick loom I did on this like spreadsheet. I
Yeah.
I laughed this morning because somebody shared a reel of an Excel spreadsheet where somebody was like line by line going and adjusting like the row height and then column by column adjusting the column height. And
Mm-hmm.
they shared like the hotkeys for it. And people were sharing this with like, oh my goodness. And I was like, if you just click in the top corner and then like double click on a row or like on a column, it'll do the same thing. And people are like, no,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
wait, right? And we forget that what we know and what we can show people how to do can be mind-blowing for them. Like
Uh
that has
huh.
probably saved somebody an hour's worth of work that they didn't need to do just because now they know what hotkeys to use.
Oh my gosh. When I learned
right?
the key command for emojis, I was like, my life has changed.
Oh, the emoji one is 100% life changing. It is
I was
100% life
you could,
changing.
oh my God. Yeah. Life changing.
And it was funny because someone said to me the other day, "What is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. Hang on a second. Let me do it." And then
Yeah.
I
You have
had
to
to like
look.
pause. I had to like pause while I was doing it to work it out.
Yep, yep. I'm like, I want to tell people what it is, but I feel like I have to push it. So I know it's like option spacebar, control, I don't know, control command spacebar maybe.
Yeah, control command spacebar on a
There you
Mac.
go. The
Yeah.
emoji key command will blow your mind if you take anything away from this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Control command spacebar.
Can send each of us a DM that is 100% emojis.
We'll know you heard it. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, this is like such a good conversation, but I want to make sure we save a little bit of time for you because I'm a star and that's what I do. So tell us a little bit, like, what's your most current project or what are you most excited about?
So what I'm working on, so there's at the moment, the main way to work with me is you do your assessment and then we can have a call if you want to chat about it. And then I do a full VIP day where I basically retrofit your entire business to your superpower.
So cool.
What I'm working on at the moment is actually developing for each little profile their own kind of like little mini course. Because
Hmm.
look, you take the assessment, you're going to get a 36-page report. No one reads it. Not even the super how to data analysis people read it in detail. So a
Hmm.
lot of the juice about like what are your strengths and weaknesses, who should you hire and why does that work, and what should you outsource first, and how do you actually make this work in your business, gets lost in between the lines. And
Hmm.
then people get really attached to the high level and they're like, oh, maybe I don't need a call. So what I'm working on at the moment is actually developing a little mini course, which will just be like a podcast. It'll be like a little audio course that you can listen to and go back to and refer to. That's really going to walk you through your profile in detail so
Mm.
that you can get really comfortable with how to actually make this work for you.
Oh, I love that. And I would so much rather, yeah, be able to take time and listen to it, than have to read the 36 pages or whatever it is.
Yeah, completely. It's especially as a star, you don't like
Mhm.
details, so that's always a given. But I find more and more, even the more detail oriented profiles will say to me, "Oh yeah, I meant to, and I just didn't get to it." And
Yeah. No,
I do it a
I
lot
need the
as a master.
container of time. I'm the person that will sign up for a strategy session before a course like any day because I want it blocked into my time, my schedule, my time.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. There's that option. I'm not taking away my call, but
Yeah.
I think some people just want to be able to refer to it more and go deeper into it on their own first,
Hmm.
and really come with juicy questions to that call.
Yeah. And then you go in with teams too and you'll do some group stuff.
Yeah, so I've done like team development sessions where I'll walk through in more detail. I'll go into people's masterminds if they want to do a workshop on it. I'll walk through in even more granularity than we've done today because you can see all the diagrams and stuff.
Yeah.
So I do that, which I really love to do. I'm just all about like how can we make people. I keep saying it's like everybody's got an off the rack business, and I want
Yeah.
everybody to have a couture business.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I want everybody to feel that special when they sit down at their desks. And it's just it's such a good feeling for me when I see like that spark in someone's brain when they recognize themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, it really is mind blowing. And I really do know that, like, that number, I have to have the numbers person and the project manager person to function. Like, and
Yeah.
when you learn those things, it's actually so freeing because you kind of know what you need to next level.
I think also there's a lot of validation to it, right?
Hmm.
If you are one of those maybe quieter profiles and you have been watching stars do all of this stuff out there, and now suddenly you discover, well, actually, you doing that is hampering your progress to your goals. This would be a much
Totally.
better way for you to do it. That is so validating and freeing, and 100% the thing I hear nearly every single call or masterclass is always, I thought there was something wrong with me.
Or like, I've been doing all the things and it's not working, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that whoever you are following, they've built something in their superpower and it's not the same superpower.
Yeah.
So you just have to find what to tweak.
I love it. So good. So if when I master this, it's like, then I can teach other stars how to do it. But I don't need to master this and then teach other personality, other people how to do something because they can't repeat. It's like with the photography mentoring, like, well, here's what I did, but that's not going to work for somebody who's not a star.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be in that particular capacity, what you could decide is that your copy speaks to stars. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes really clear, like, this is what I did, this is why it works for me. And so that people who are way more introverted, who are probably not into that space, they're going to go, well, you're probably not the teacher for me.
And then you get better results, which gives you even better,
Yeah,
growth. That's
yeah.
amazing. I
And
love
then
that.
away from your photographers, where you are in community with people
Mm-hmm.
or doing your coaching with people, you are just also that more aware that when you say to somebody, do a Facebook Live, it can be like, how does that feel?
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, dig into, is it a fear of being seen? Is it an objection? Is it a mindset thing that needs some help with? Or is there a different way that they could do it where they might actually do it and be consistent?
Mm-hmm. And feel
Because
good
that's the
doing
other
it.
thing. It's so easy to be consistent in your superpower.
Mm-hmm. So good. I love it. Oh my gosh. People are going to absolutely love this episode. Where can they find you? Tell us all the things.
So I have a very special page just for your listeners. So they can find it at dianemayor.com/messy.
Oh, I love it.
And here's the deal. The wealth dynamics test is $100 test.
Yeah.
If you want to do it with me, I'm going to do two things for you. I'm going to give you back $100 in like Diane credit that you can spend on your course or on a call with me to dive deeper into it. And if you've listened to this episode and you share that you're listening to this episode and you tag me and you tag Liz and you shout out the episode, I'm going to send you a discount code so that you can get 20% off and you'll still get the full credit.
I love it.
So you'll pay like $80 to take your test, plus you'll get an extra $100 to spend.
So good. DianeMayor.com/messy.
Yes. And if you just want to have a little chit chat, I'm always in my DMs at Instagram and I'm at Diane_Mayor.
Yes, I love it. I'm just so glad we've kept in touch all this time. It's been so awesome just being side by side on our different journeys, and this is so great. Was there like a moment that you got into all of this? Like, how did you even get sucked into this wealth dynamics world?
So it's really interesting. I have coming from corporate and having that more like having been in C-suite meetings where strategy's been talked about, I've always kind of rubbed up against this idea of like, you need to do this way. This is the
Hmm.
funnel
Hmm.
that worked for me, so therefore it will work for everyone kind of vibes. And I started playing around with different things on it, and I went back into DISC, which is a very more corporate tool. It's very much
Hmm.
behavior and communication. And I had a really bad experience with it in corporate. So I wanted to be like, how could we use that, but use it in a different way? And when I was talking to someone about discs, they were like, "Oh, have you done wealth dynamics?" So I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll test it. Let's just do it. Let's see." And in the creator profile, the line that got me was, "The creator is the type who will pull up the sapling to see if the roots have grown."
Uh-huh.
So we like to have an idea and then we like to see if the idea is working. And in doing that, we stop the idea working. We don't like to implement, right? And I have never felt more seen in my entire business journey than I did in that moment. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, oh, this makes so much sense
Yeah.
because I can see why people aren't having success. You know, results may vary in the fine print, is because framework set up for this type of profile, which then negates like 6 of the other profiles usually,
Hmm.
right? And so for me, it's just been this pure frustration and trying to find a mechanism that would make it really easy and practical. I think there's a lot of very like woo conversation around flow, which I don't think is a bad thing. But I
Yeah.
think the ability to actually say to somebody practically, I want you to do these things and you'll feel more in flow is very different from like seek flow,
Yeah.
right? So
Or
that's
just
really it.
like have a morning routine or just meditate or just get up earlier and you'll be more successful. Like, no, that's not it.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of like, okay, how is this going to work?
Hmm.
And like, how do we take this further with people? And I think a lot of what I do lives in my head. because it comes from experience and stuff. And so this became a really great tool for me to use to introduce people to the idea that they didn't need just another webinar funnel.
Yes.
That actually this is what strategic business looks like.
I love it. So good. Well, thank you so, so much for your time. I know we went on a little bit longer, but it was so good. I couldn't even stand it. So I'm really, really excited. Thank you for being with us. And hopefully everyone will go out and take the quiz and take you up on your offer because that was so generous.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
All right, you guys, don't forget to go to dianemayor.com/messy to get your gift and figure out how to learn more about all of this wealth dynamics and Diane's superpowers, and say hi to her. You know, we love shining light on others on Instagram, social media. So let us know that you listened. We really, really appreciate you being here. This is such a good episode. And if you got anything from it, make sure to leave us a review on iTunes and just keep doing the beautiful work that you're doing in the world. And I'll see you next time.